Ellen Ward had learned many things during her 18 months aboard the Wandering Star, but the most important lesson was this: never let the cubs see you hurt. She pressed her burned hand against her side, hidden beneath the folds of her maintenance jacket, and forced her face into what she hoped was a neutral expression. The pain radiated up her forearm in waves, each pulse a reminder of her stupidity. The coolant pipe had been marked for repair, but she'd grown impatient waiting for the engineering team. One wrong twist, one moment of carelessness, and superheated vapor had wrapped around her hand like a serpent. The medical bay was 3 decks down. She could make it. She just had to avoid. Ellen. She froze. The voice belonged to Takar, and where Takar went, the others inevitably followed. The young Vrath bounded around the corner, his 4 eyes bright with excitement, his mottled gray fur bristling with energy. At barely 7 cycles old, he stood nearly as tall as Ellen's shoulder. All lean muscle and puppy-like enthusiasm, wrapped in a package that could tear through steel bulkheads, if properly motivated. Behind him came his clutchmates, Rissa, Ken, and little Morrow, who hadn't quite grown into his oversized paws. Ellen, you must settle argument, Takar declared, his translator rendering his chittering speech into perfect galactic standard. Rissa says humans cannot see an ultraviolet spectrum, but Ken insists your people have secret color vision. Rissa. Ellen shifted her weight, keeping her burned hand pressed firmly against her ribs. Rissa's right. We can't see UV light. See? I told you. Rissa's tail lashed triumphantly. But wait. Takar's head tilted, and his eyes narrowed. All 4 of them, focusing with predatory precision. Ellen. You smell wrong. Her heart sank. Of course. The Vrath didn't rely solely on sight or sound. Their olfactory senses could detect fear, pain, even the subtle chemical changes in sweat composition. I'm fine, she said quickly. Just finished a long shift. Takar took a step closer. Then another. His nostrils flared, and the playful light in his eyes shifted to something harder, sharper. You are hurt. I'm not. Where? The word came out as a low growl. Rissa and Ken flanked him immediately, and even little Morrow dropped into a crouch, his ears flat against his skull. Aylin had seen adult Vrath in combat mode during training simulations. She'd watched them tear apart automated defense drones with casual brutality, but she'd never seen the cubs like this, hadn't realized they could transition from playful children to apex predators in a heartbeat. It's nothing, she insisted. Just a small burn. I was going to medical. Show us. Takar's voice left no room for argument. Slowly, painfully aware of 4 sets of eyes tracking her every movement, Ellen withdrew her hand from her jacket. The flesh was already blistering. Angry red welts spreading across her palm and fingers. She'd seen worse injuries in her career, but the cubs didn't have that context. Takar went absolutely still. The kind of stillness that preceded violence. Who? He whispered. It was an accident. A coolant pipe. Who hurt you? The roar echoed through the corridor, and Ellen stumbled backward as Takar surged forward. He didn't touch her. The cubs had been meticulously trained never to make contact when agitated, but his massive frame filled her vision, vibrating with barely contained rage. Takar, listen to me. Ellen kept her voice steady, despite the fear creeping up her spine. No one hurt me. I hurt myself. I was careless. Lies. Rissa circled to Ellen's left, her movements predatory and precise. Humans do not injure themselves. Someone must be punished. The pipe! Ellen's voice cracked with desperation. The pipe burned me. It was marked for repair, and I ignored the warning. Ken's growl rumbled like distant thunder. Then we destroy pipe. You can't destroy ship infrastructure every time I make a mistake. Then you must not make mistakes. Takar's logic was infuriatingly simple. We protect you. That is our purpose. And there it was, the heart of the problem. The Vrath had imprinted on Elin within weeks of her assignment to the nursery detail. She'd been warned it might happen. Vrath cubs bonded intensely with their caretakers, viewing them as pack members to be defended at any cost. The xenopsychologists had assured her it was normal. Even healthy, they hadn't mentioned it would be terrifying. Your purpose, Ellen said carefully, is to learn and grow, not to attack plumbing. We learn to protect Pac. Morrow piped up, his higher voice at odds with his aggressive stance. You are Pac. You are hurt. We find what hurt you, and we stop. Elin drew herself up to her full height, which was still considerably shorter than Takar, and channeled every ounce of authority she'd learned from her instructors. I am going to Medical Bay. You are going to return to your educational modules. This is not a discussion. The cubs exchanged glances, some silent communication passing between them. Finally, Takar's shoulders sagged. We escort you to Medical Bay. And that's not non-negotiable. The firmness in his voice reminded Ellen that for all their youth, the Vrath were still warriors in training. You are injured. Pac does not leave injured members alone, Ellen sighed. She wasn't winning this argument. Fine. But no threatening the medical staff. We make no promises, Rissa muttered. The journey to Medical Bay became a bizarre procession. Ellen walked in the center, her burned hand cradled against her chest, while 4 Vrath cubs maintained a protective formation around her. Crew members pressed themselves against bulkheads as they passed, eyes wide with alarm. Dr. Chelm, a 4-armed Tetherian with more patience than sense, barely blinked when Elin arrived with her escort. Let me guess. They found out you were hurt. How did you know? You're the 3rd human caretaker this month. Chelm gestured to an examination table. The cubs are getting more protective. It's becoming a problem. Takar's growl suggested he disagreed with that assessment. As Chelm worked on Elin's hand, applying regenerative gel and synthetic skin, the cubs watched with unblinking intensity. Every time she winced, 4 sets of claws extended reflexively. It will heal? Takar demanded. Completely, Chelm assured him. Humans are remarkably resilient. Then why do they damage so easily? Ken's question was plaintive, almost childlike. Elin met Takar's gaze and saw something unexpected there, not just protective rage, but genuine fear. These apex predators, these future warriors of the Vrath Armada, were terrified because their human had been hurt. Because, she said softly, being fragile doesn't mean being weak. It means being brave enough to exist in a universe that can harm you. Takar considered this for a long moment. Then, very carefully, he extended one massive paw. Ellen understood the gesture and placed her bandaged hand in his, dwarfed by his size but completely safe. We will learn to be more careful around you, he said, and you will learn to tell us when you are hurt. Agreement? Ellen smiled despite the pain. Agreement. The cubs relaxed incrementally, their aggressive postures softening back into something resembling normal childhood curiosity. But Ellen noticed they didn't leave her side for the rest of the day, and when she finally returned to her quarters that evening, she found them curled up outside her door, standing guard. She didn't have the heart to send them away. After all, they were Pac.